we go. Something like that, I believe. Um, hmm. It's funny. I've been thinking about making something like this for like a week now. Uh, I don't know, just kind of been like in a mood, right? Especially like the colder season approaching. Just kind of been in a mood. Very very emotional, honestly. Lots of things kind of get to me really easily now. But a huge source of comfort for me, of course, is just like movies, music, uh, and just like other things, just things, right? Things that I can look at and experience and know that somebody else has experienced these things, or things that make me think in a different way. Again, just a lot of comfort I derive. Is that the right word? That I derive from from some of my favorites. So I thought I'd talk about those things today. Uh, and then yeah, just a preface. I feel like this is gonna be a long one. Again, like I think about like all this stuff for comfort like constantly. So I just got like hours to like talk about it realistically. But yeah, I just like wrote down a bunch of stuff yesterday that kind of makes me like feel. Um, so like I thought it'd be a good idea to just go ahead and talk about those things. So I have it split up just from like because like movies obviously, but I have music and I have games because there's some games out there that make me feel as well. And I say emotional, I say feeling, and I feel like the initial reaction is to think sad, and there's a lot of sad there, no doubt. But there's also like joy and beauty, acceptance, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like kinder things. It doesn't have to always be sad, or it can be like just fun, I guess too, right? So we'll just talk about a lot of things that I've been thinking about, or that I consistently think about, stuff that kind of falls into my favorites. But yeah, so let's get in it. I think it's gonna be split up again. I can talk about this stuff forever, so I'm gonna split it up into like multiple videos, and this section will just be live action movies. Um, yeah, got my coffee right here because it's cold as hell outside. Not that cold, for someone like me, but still cold enough that I gotta put on a sweater. All right, so starting with live action movies, and it's funny. Like I've rewatched a few of these recently. I feel like that's also why, uh, they've just been on my mind so heavily. I've just like gone to them for comfort when I needed it. But one of them was Bones and All. It might be weird to say, but that definitely is a comfort movie for me. Obviously, for the people who watched it, but it's a romance kind of movie, drama movie. Uh, Sort of like a road trip sort of movie about self discovery. Um, and again, I just think it's like so beautiful. The conclusions it kind of like brings me to, and also these concepts of love and like I said earlier, self discovery, right? And also just a great looking movie overall. Lots of great acting. Um, I love Taylor Russell a lot, and she's great in this. And Timothy Chalamet is very good as well. Um, Yeah, but also again just like bizarre movie, right? Because of the twist to it. I don't want to spoil too much, but the twist to it is something that I'd heard about, so that kind of brought me to it initially, and I was like, okay, okay, but it's that ending, man, and all these moments in between as well. Like one of my favorite moments is whenever Lee is, Lee and I'm blanking on her name now. Taylor Russell's character, Marin. uh, Whenever Lee and Marin are just like out in the field where their truck broke down at, and they're just talking. Obviously, like the scenery is like so amazingly beautiful, and Lee is finally opening up to Marin. I guess like that's the contrast, right? Like open field, like opening up emotionally. If you want to make that connection, that's probably me thinking too deep about it, but I just thought about that right now. Um, but again, just a beautiful moment because like it kind of like dissects that like toxic male trait, right? Just like holding it in. So for Lee to have finally kind of broken away from that and he's able to express his emotions to somebody he loves, um, I think that's such a great moment, a very emotional moment, obviously, and with the way Marin comforts him while he's talking about it, no judgment. She just accepts him for who he is, And like that's a hard part for Lee's character throughout the movie. He doesn't know who he is. He kind of has this facade that he like gets around, and he can do things, sure, but there's a lot of insecurity to him. This like uncertainty with like where he's gonna be, or like who he's gonna be, rather. My fault. Um, and then obviously with Marin, her character, everything to her is like so new, and she's just like navigating all of this, and she's lucky enough to find somebody like Lee, somebody that can help her, or the fact that they can help each other. Again, just like a more like romantic sentiment, right? Finding somebody that can be there for you wholeheartedly. And then the ending, man, the ending is rough, but again, very beautiful, especially with the Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross score throughout the movie, but then in that scene specifically. And then I love, especially if you listen to the soundtrack as well, the Bones and All soundtrack, the way that track immediately leads into the final track of the movie, because the reoccurring theme is from the track "The Great Wide Open," I believe is what it's called, and it has like multiple like versions, just like this soft, I don't know, like guitar, right? There's a specific little like guitar riff that they have, but they reuse it in multiple tracks. I'm with you. Parentheses always. Just these like little variations. But yeah, it pops up in the last two, because you have what is it? It's unfortunate now that I blank on these things because I want to talk about them so much. But the last two tracks, I think it's called "I Knew You Always Had a Feeling," I believe, or "You Made It Feel Like Home." There you go. I was just thinking about the lyrics, but yeah, that's one of the lyrics. But the way "You Always Made It Feel Like Home" leads into "The Great Wide Open," the reprise version, like the ending version. It's so amazing. I remember the first time I saw the movie, again, like no real expectations except for knowing what the twist was, and the twist comes in very early, and that was shocking to me. Uh, but again, like by the time I finished the movie, I was just like, it's just like stunned silence to me. Everything leading up to it, and obviously everything that happens, it's a lot. And even on rewatch now, I still get those same emotions, those same visceral emotions, and it's heartbreaking, sure, but again, to have found somebody like that in a world so crazy, right? That just like the romanticness of it, I guess, is what gets to me most. But yeah, great movie. Love that one a lot. Sound of Metal. I feel like I've mentioned this one before, but just getting into it a bit more. I mean, again, just with like Riz Ahmed's character, mainly since he's like the focal point of it. Um, Obviously, it's relatable in a lot of ways, right? Like the anger, the kind of like inability to just be still and exist sometimes, and like the anger like stems from like a lot of things, like obviously like his external situation, um, not feeling like you have control, right? And for some people, you like internalize those things, or I internalize those things, um, and obviously that's not healthy. uh, like there's always that breaking point, right? And obviously, you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that angry person. Uh, but yeah, like being still and just accepting the way things are sometimes is like the best way to work past it. And you can find peace in that, once you're able to just like be and think and feel. And that's kind of the journey that the character goes on. Ruben goes on throughout the movie, and yeah, just throughout like these like smaller moments. I love it as well because there's the segment in the movie where he's in the community, the deaf community, and his like caretaker, or like the caretaker of the place, like basically tells him, he's like, just go into a room, sit there and write, and if you can't write anything, just sit there. And obviously he's trying to teach him a lesson, right? He's trying to teach him a lesson in being still and cultivating mindfulness, I guess. But like there's moments too where you think Ruben's like finally getting better, and it's like these like this message is like getting through to him, but then he just has these outbursts, or just like feels like he needs to move on, and he's so desperate to move on, get back to his old life. um and it's a little like disheartening sometimes, especially the conversation that they have before Ruben ends up leaving. Like the caretaker, he's like so heartbroken by Ruben's decision. um and like the fact that he couldn't help him, like, as well, I guess, right? But then finally at the very end, Ruben accepts it for what it is, and like he's able to just like sit in the silence and be at peace with himself. That's a very beautiful moment. But yeah, I like that movie a lot. Uh, this might be a weird one to say I get emotion from, but No Country for Old Men, great movie, obviously, but it's that Tommy Lee Jones monologue at the very end that kind of like captures like some of the themes throughout the movie. Uh, and I don't know what it is specifically that really grabs me about it. Maybe it's just like the delivery, uh, and like the emotion behind the delivery. I mean, it's weird to say emotion, right? Because he's very like stone cold as he's like delivering this monologue. But and like everything he says just like resonates in some weird way. Like him talking about his dream with the father, or with his father. And there's something he says specifically too, because like his father died. Well, his father died, but the age that Tommy Lee Jones's character is now is older than when his father died, and that's something he says. He's like, but I'm older now, so technically that makes me the older man. Just like that contrast, because like obviously you think about the parental figure as like bigger than you, but once you've kind of surpassed them, like the perception changes a bit, I guess. And then obviously that's kind of a scary concept as well, right? Like outliving your parents. Like nobody really wants to see their parents go. I don't. Um, but yeah, so just that. And then I think it's also the delivery and the silence that follows after like the final line in the monologue. Like he's talking about all these things, just like life passing him, and kind of feeling like he's missed out, or like people dying young. With like Llewellyn's character. Um, and then he just ends the monologue. He's like, yeah, and then I woke up. Like life goes on, I guess, and the silence that follows that is very powerful. But yeah, I love that moment a lot. uh, Again, like another weird one to say that sort of brings up emotion, but Hereditary. I feel like it was one of those horror movies that like actually kind of scared me a little bit. So like not necessarily like sadness, but like fear. I guess fear is another emotion that's like kind of a weird one to claim to like, but it's just a part of the life, right? And not even like fear of like external things, but fear of like internal things, or things you internalize, like concepts, I guess, being more fearful of. But this one, I guess, is like kind of scary, just more of like in an external way. But then obviously like with these like family dynamic stuff, like the big scene that gets me is whenever they're Toni Collette's character, she's yelling at her son at the dinner table. That was fucking rough, because it's just building up, and they're just like going at each other for so long, and when she finally explodes, that's kind of like the end all of the conversation. And then of course the son has to get one more like line in, right? He just has to stab at it. But yeah, that moment was crazy. And then obviously at the end, whenever I guess like Toni Collette's character is like kind of like possessed at this point, but she's like crawling around and stuff. Again, just like never seen anything like that before, so it was kind of surprising to me, and like gave me some chills, no doubt. uh, yeah, like whenever she's like crawling like on the walls, but it's like so ghastly the way she does it. Um, yeah, so but that's Hereditary. Going back to a sad one, The Iron Claw. Uh, just tragedy after tragedy. Um, and obviously like the thing that gets me is like there's those happier moments in the beginning that are like veiled in like the sadness still. Like obviously whenever the Olympian son comes home, it's like it sucks, like he lost his chance, right? But like the whole family is reunited again, and that's a nice moment. Or I thought it was a nice moment for him to be like reunited with all his brothers. And I think this one hits specifically for me because I do have brothers. So yeah, but like so the thing, like, it's like the calm before the storm, right? They go to the party, and the younger brother is like singing his song, the like I want to live this way forever. And of course, like whenever the happy moments are rolling by, that you want to stay there. But yeah, it's it's not always like that, I guess. Um, and then yeah, just like after that, everything falls apart, just tragedy after tragedy. Each brother like slowly dies young, and of course it's not fair, and then it weighs on Zac Efron's character. I believe it's Kevin, right? Uh, yeah, it just weighs on his character the most. And I mean, again, like relatable too. He's the second born. I'm the second born. You kind of carry the weight of everybody else like with you sometimes. Uh, and I'm just gonna talk about the two scenes that really got, or I guess I don't know. There's multiple, man. There's multiple, um, but one of the ones that gets me is like after I believe it's like two of the brothers have died, and at this point Kevin already kind of has his family, and he's like living in the apartment with his wife and their kids, and like it just like cuts to him, and he's in bed just like laying there, and like not trying to emote, but there's just like this intense like sadness about him, and like the babies are crying, and he's like not even moving a muscle, and like his wife is like getting ready for work in the background, and she's asking for his help, and he barely like mumbles it, but he's like, I can't move. Just powerful, right? That feeling that you're just like locked, you're so paralyzed by grief. And then obviously at the very end, like when he's like finally with his family, they're like on the house, and like he's just crying, he's like finally taking a moment to just like let it out, and his sons go to comfort him. I used to be a brother and all that powerful stuff. That that was another one too. Like after it ended, I just kind of sat there for a while, just took it in. But yeah, very very good movie. I recommend it heavily. Kind of spoilers, like I kind of spoiled it, but if you sort of like know about the Von Erichs, and again, like it's close to me as well because it takes place in Dallas, or like in Texas. I feel like I've always liked stuff that takes place in Texas. I mean, No Country for Old Men, right, as well. Because they're like on the Texas Mexico border. Um, but yeah, and I mean like random throw out there, but like RoboCop. I mean they say it's like New Detroit, but they're in like downtown Dallas, like on the outskirts of downtown Dallas. But yeah, so anything that has to do with like Texas, Dallas, or anything like that, it's just like one of those weird like brain things. It's like, oh, I know that thing, so it's special, sort of thing. So, but yeah, so this is also one of them. The fact that it happened, here, is also like just resonates because I'm from here. Punch Drunk Love, again another like romance drama. Uh, Mostly talking about like loneliness, and again like being able to find somebody that can just accept you for who you are wholeheartedly. Again, just like a romantic notion I love a lot. Uh, and then the moments that really get me here too is one of them funny, and then two of them like kind of sad, or I don't know, like one of them sad, and then the other one just like kind of I don't know, beautiful in a weird way. But we'll start with the sad. It's that moment at the very, like kind of close to the beginning, whenever Adam Sandler's character goes to the party for his sister, and they are just teasing the fuck out of him, like really trying to piss him off, and of course he breaks, like the. But then he goes into the closet with the with like one of the husbands or whatever. He's like there's like a moment of comedy that comes out of it, but he's talking to him because he's like a doctor, but he's like a dentist or some shit like that. So like obviously not like a therapy doctor or anything, but Adam Sandler is just like unloading his like problems onto him, and then again like a moment where he breaks. He's like sometimes I just feel really lonely, and I don't know like what to think because I don't know how other people are. Again, just like that weird feeling of like isolation, or isolation that comes from loneliness, right? You feel like nobody can relate to you. So for him, by the end of the movie, to have found somebody that he can be with, and just somebody that loves him, just means everything. um, and that's why like their intimate moment in Hawaii, him and his partner that they have, where they're just like cuddling with one another, and they're just like kind of it's again like this is where like the bizarre nature comes into it, because they're talking to each other, and it's just like, man, I just want to like at first it kind of starts off innocent, but it's like, oh, I just want to like pinch your cheeks, I just want to like love you, right? And then it like starts getting like progressively like more and more overboard. I think Adam Sandler says he's like, I just want to like get a hammer and crush your head because I love you so much. uh I don't know, and I guess like the idea behind that is destruction being a form of creation, and they've created this relationship with one another that both of them probably never thought they'd like have a chance at, and they cherish it so much. I guess it's kind of nice in that way. And then a funny moment, like whenever I remember the first time I watched this too, it was just like such a big laugh. But I watched it with my brother, and it's the part whenever he finally gets to Hawaii to meet with the girl, and he's calling his sister for like where she's staying, because like the sister is friends with the girl, and the sister is just like immediately like goes to teasing her. She's like, "Oh my god, like you actually went there, like why do you want to talk to her? Why do you want to talk to her?" He's just like picking at him, and then he finally explodes on her. And he's just like, it's like, hey. Just like really lets her have it, and like it's kind of a satisfying moment in that way. But obviously, like the outburst is really funny. Yeah, so I enjoyed that that movie a lot as well, for like a lot of different things, and obviously Paul Thomas Anderson, right? Uh, cool stuff, and again, like also like a really good Philip Seymour Hoffman performance as well thrown in there, which is nice. Another one, kind of romance drama, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Again, like sort of a bizarre one as well, but by the end of it, I mean, my personal takeaway is just like giving love a chance, right? Um, I really don't think I can get into it more than that, because it is such like a bizarre experience, and you just kind of have to watch it. But hopefully, my like minor analysis on that kind of gets you in the right headspace. It always gets me in the right headspace, watching that movie and seeing how everything unfolds. Like pursuing love, and then like regretting it in some ways. But what is it? Better to have loved and lost than never loved at all, right? So I guess just like that notion, uh, and again, like the contrast, right? Like there can't be something as pure as love without misery thrown in. And sometimes like they'll go a bit hand in hand. You love somebody, and you want to be there, but there's a certain pain that can come with that sometimes, either like in the way the relationship develops, or just, I don't know, just. But yeah, great movie as well. I like that one. And then obviously very end, the cover for Everybody's Gotta Learn Sometime by Beck. Love that song a lot. Perfect Days. I enjoyed this movie a lot, and again, just like kind of reminded me to like be still, and just like be satisfied with the things around you. The main character in this, like obviously, to some people, he's not living, like living that life you see on TV, that life you see in the movies, like so grand. But like with him, his life is simple, and he loves the simplicity, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not even going to say like content. I feel like being content sort of means you've accepted your situation as it is, and like you don't want to just like pursue or do anything, you know what I mean? You get stuck. So I think there's a very clear difference between like contentness and like satisfaction, right? The main character in this movie is very satisfied with his life. Like he enjoys his job for what it is, and again, it's like nothing grand. He's like just like a cleaner. Like he just goes around cleaning stuff, like cleaning bathrooms. So obviously not very glamorous, but everything else outside of that he enjoys. Like he just enjoys walking, going for these bike rides, going to small places, and just like relaxing, unwinding, just living his life and enjoying the things in his life, his books, his music. So again, just like really really great movie. I enjoyed that one a lot. Honestly, I think I'm due for a rewatch on it. It's been a while since I've watched it. Lars and the Real Girl, again, another like romance drama kind of thing. Sort of humorous, no doubt, but again, just like another movie that kind of like dissects this idea of like loneliness and isolation, with Ryan Gosling's character in it. But again, I feel like the beauty comes from the fact that this like community is so supportive of him, because like they live in a small town, obviously. So everybody kind of knows each other. So whenever he gets this like real doll, so he can like have a kind of like companionship, everybody is like, this is weird, but we love him, and we should be accepting of him and just kind of help him. And I always thought that was very nice. And then obviously the part that gets me is again, it's sort of a weird thing. This like kind of weird like entitlement or selfishness that like comes from relationships sometimes. You know, because some people are like that, hopeless romantic in some ways. Like they want the connection, and and they're so jealous. I guess like you know like, but that jealousy comes from a place of love. They love somebody so much they just want to be with them constantly. Um, yeah, so like whenever everybody in the community starts accepting like the real doll as just like another part of the community, they have her like helping out with stuff. I mean, again, she's a real doll, so everybody's like doing the actions for her. So like that's kind of where the humor comes from, but it's just as the way to help Lars as well. But you know, like Lars has like that breaking point where he's like, well, you like she's my girlfriend. Like, why is she out like doing this, doing that? And you know, like she should be here with me. Blah blah blah. Or you know, not blah blah blah. But obviously, it's like a lot to get into and to explain my point. But again, like the breaking moment with the sister-in-law, she finally like snaps back at Lars and like kind of gives him like a much needed like reality check in some ways, you know, because obviously with like Lars right there, it was, what's the word? It was just pure selfishness, you know, like he's lonely. He's going through something, no doubt, and everybody can see that. But everybody there is trying to be supportive of him, and he doesn't fully appreciate it. Or you know, at least in the sister-in-law's point of view. And I mean, you know, even in our point of view, right? We can kind of see that's like, well, okay, dude. Um, yeah, but man, like the way that actress like snaps at him, it's like the voice cracks and everything. There's something like super powerful about it. And then obviously like Ryan Gosling, you know, his thing, just like the more subtle performance. But he's just like on the brink of like just like bawling his eyes out, just like red like puffy eyes, and like he just sits there and like takes it, and you know she just like goes off on him. She's like, you know, like you know it's very obvious like we all love you. We're doing this because we love you, and like you know you can't accept that, like that's on you. Uh, but yeah, but you know, great movie. I like that movie a lot. Very quirky, obviously, but very good. Just nice. Um, this is also another weird one too, but this is a documentary. Feels Good Man, the documentary about Pepe the Frog, or you know, the creator of Pepe the Frog. Um, I don't know, something about this one. Just I guess like the concept, right, of like the art and artists like being so separated, and then the art becoming its like own like entity, like onto itself, and the way like people will project, you know, onto that art or use that art as like a talking piece for like their agenda. And then you know, with the Pepe creator, like how his creation like got warped. Obviously, like his creation came from a place of purity, and to see that so distorted into this, you know, right wing icon is, you know, was obviously very disheartening for him, and it comes across in the movie as well. You know, he's just like so like crestfallen about it. Crestfallen. Uh, yeah, and like obviously it's like very sad. Uh, but that's also why I think the very ending of it is like quite beautiful as well, because of course like he himself like as the creator, like I mean like it's on the internet now, he has no control over it, but it's something that's still like kind of dear to him, and then you know for him to even like go as far as like killing it off just so he can like erase it from his mind, or you know try to erase it, right? Like I feel something like that never really leaves you. um, but yeah, you know, he just goes through so much, and it's sad in that way. But to see the turnaround at the very end of the movie, I like that it ends up on a more like optimistic note. You know, seeing Pepe sort of like be taken back as this like symbol for positivity. I believe it was in South Korea where they were using him as their icon for you know, just freedom, like for like what is it, the workers union, or just like kind of like underclass representation. Again, just very beautiful that people can use him, you know, now, and like not be a symbol of hate, but be a symbol of love. Yeah, I thought that was very nice, and then obviously to see like a foreigner perspective on this character, I thought was like also like, you know, humorous in some ways, but you know, again, just like very nice, kind. But yeah, so I like that one a lot, and I rewatched that one fairly recently. Bleh, fairly recently, so that's kind of why it's on my mind. Um, at Eternity's Gate, again, this is one that I rewatched as well, but you know, just like finding beauty in nature, I feel like it's like obviously the biggest thing that I kind of gained from it. And then you know, Van Gogh is like obviously such a like eccentric kind of character, the way Willem Dafoe portrays him is very nice, obviously, but just like such a beautiful looking movie. I mean, it's a movie that doesn't really have a lot of dialogue sometimes too. It's just like, music and Van Gogh or Willem Dafoe just like sitting there painting, looking at the vastness, looking at eternity, right? Looking at everything that's been put in front of him as it is, and appreciating it and trying to capture that and show it to people. It's obviously like a very nice sentiment, and that was kind of my takeaway. But again, just really enjoyed that. Um, Everything Everywhere All at Once. This was a big one for me. I remember watching it around the time it came out for my birthday, I believe. Uh, and it just sticks with me. Lots of moments in the movie just stick with me. I mean, if I'm gonna like just like dissect every single moment, it's weird because obviously like there's a lot of sadness in this for me, but then also again just like in complete awe of what I'm seeing, because I've never seen these like themes like be portrayed in like such a abstract and bizarre like fashion before, but then also like having these like smaller moments of like just like intimacy and like sentimentality. um and like, man, just like again, like when I first watched it, that opening shot, I just knew I was in store for something just like really great. And it's simple as well. It's just like that soft music by Sun Lux. um I think the track on the album is just called like Wang Family Photo or something. But you just see the reflection of them like doing a karaoke like in a mirror, and it's just like such a nice moment. Like it feels like this family is like bonded, and then the immediate contrast to the fact that they're all kind of separated in some ways. um and then, man, everything with like Guimon's character or like Evelyn's character and Joy, and then obviously like their relationship with one another too. But like some of the moments that kind of get me early on is like the this like divorce idea like being like brought into the mix, and just like how like disheartened Wayman's character is about it. um like whenever they walk into the IRS building, like he just sees like the old couple, and like both of them are very caring for one another, and it's almost not jealousy, or jealousy like in like the basic way, right? Where it's like like I wish I had that. I wish me and my partner were like more like comforting towards one another, or just like wanting to grow old with somebody. I think it's like a really like beautiful idea that they kind of plant really early on, because obviously at this point, Evelyn and Wayman, like they're both kind of separated, or just like divorced from one another without actually being like legally divorced. uh, and then also as well, like once they finally get out the IRS building, and it cuts to like a branch reality, and like they're in the car having the conversation about the divorce, and he's just like so broken up about it, like the idea of it, even though he's like the initiator, he just wants to have a conversation, but Evelyn's so focused on everything that she can't take these moments and just be there like with him. um, and obviously like that's what he cares about. He cares about the here and now, because he's an optimist. uh, Again, I feel like I can just go on about moments, but yeah, like his monologue that he has about just like being kind and being there for one another, especially when things are crazy. It's such a nice sentiment, and it's one that brought me out of a funk I was in at the time. Again, I feel like this movie just like really you know came out at the right time for a lot of people, and for me especially, and it definitely resonated with me. I think about it a lot, and just the music and the performances. Um, I love Michelle Yeoh's performance throughout the movie. She's obviously very funny in it, but then again, like these moments of just like pure, just purity, right? It's it's nice. I'll probably rewatch that one too. It's been like a little while, but it's just something I think about mostly because I've been listening to Sun Lux. So, is that how you pronounce it? Sun Lux, Sun Lu. Um, Sun, Lux. But yeah, I've been listening to them a lot. But that's also because I rewatched Thunderbolts. Really like that movie, but I'll talk about that another time. Um, but yeah, so just listen to their music. So I listen to like their soundtrack for Thunderbolts, and I listen to their soundtrack for Everything Everywhere, and then obviously just like select pieces from different albums. Um, but yeah, a great movie that I enjoy. Grand Budapest, again, kind of a weird one to throw in. Not really. I don't know. Sort of a pretty looking movie, obviously. But it's the moment that gets me towards the very end after they freed the guy from prison, and he meets up with the busboy again. And it's sort of bizarre. Like the movie kind of moves at a pace, and it's very like light-hearted for the most part. Obviously, these like moments of just like character dissection. But that moment especially, I think, is very interesting because it's the first time you ever see the what's his name, Ray Fiennes' character. It's the first time you ever see him kind of lose his cool, and he loses it over something so incredibly small. And then you finally get this perspective on the busboys, just like upbringing, and it makes the Ralph Fiennes character like kind of like understand where he's coming from, and then obviously his like backlash, or his lash out wasn't really warranted in the end. But I like that moment just because it is just a thing of you have to like take into account what they're going through, what they're doing, and obviously it's like very selfish sometimes to lash out on people when you haven't taken a moment to like reflect, or again just like put yourself in their shoes, right? But yeah, I like that moment a lot. And then obviously, he's like, because yeah, it's like a cologne that he misses out on. Obviously, he's been in prison for the whole time, so he's like he feels dirty and he needs this cologne. And then the busboy says he didn't bring it, and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck? Like, how could you not bring it? Blah blah blah. Like you're terrible. Like, how are you like raised to like not even like remember something like that?" And then obviously he gives him the backstory. He's like, "Well, I came from like a war-torn family. I'm an immigrant. I'm this, I'm that." So like in me trying to save you because you're my friend, like that's what mattered to me, not something so material. And then and then like the Ray Fiennes I guess like reaction to that, he's like, I'm like such an idiot, like, well, why did I get mad at you? So it's a moment of like sentimentality that turns into like light humor but still like very like sentimental. But yeah, so just kind of wanted to shout that out. But the whole movie's great, honestly. This is another horror one, Longlegs. Again, no emotion besides like fear and kind of like awe in what I'm seeing. It's such a crazy movie. It's like obviously very slow, very subtle, but a beautiful looking movie, I'll say. And then also just like performances, very subdued, but then obviously Nick Cage characters like so over the top and just intense, right? But yeah, just again, that was another one I wanted to shout out. Nothing like too big, but just wanted to shout it out. Brokeback Mountain, story about love and how pure it can be, and then obviously like love for different people and like how that's expressed, and also how it's like received from others like outside of it, right? Because obviously this is a, well, y'all know Brokeback. It's, I don't want to like say this like in the offensive way, but like it's like a gay love story, or I guess like a homosexual love story, right? But again, just the idea of two people feeling connected in some kind of way, there's a beauty to that, and the fact that they could find each other in that time, obviously like the time of their life, but then also like the actual time period where like homosexuals were like so like discriminated against, right? So like having to like hide your love for like another person, even though again like love is something so pure, like why would you hide it, right? And then to just be like shunned and kind of like ostracized for it, like it's heartbreaking in that way. And then obviously like as it progresses, like them trying to sort of like hide themselves away, and it's obviously very what's the word, I don't know, but that's something you don't want to do, right? You don't want to like isolate yourself, you don't want to like close yourself off, you don't want to block these emotions, especially like the very pure ones, right? Things like love. And to see these people have to do that in order to like survive, even though all they want to do is just be with one another. It's very sad in that way, I think. But yeah, great movie. And then obviously just like another one for me too is just like movies that kind of take place in nature. Like there's these like like large like mountain landscapes and stuff like that. So there's also just like a physical beauty, right, to it as well. And then like the beauty like in the concepts and themes that come up. So yeah, just wanted to shout that one out. Another one too is I saw the TV Glove. Another kind of bizarre one to throw in there, but again, like to me, just like very very different. And it's funny too because the first time I watched it, I feel I didn't pick up as quickly as I should have on what the movie is like an allegory for. Just like that trend that the transgender experience. Me as an outsider, I have no clue about that. So initially, I sort of like took a different angle on the movie entirely, but at the very end, I was hit with it, and and I felt kind of dumb, honestly. I was like, duh, right? But again, like as an outsider looking in, I'm not picking up on the things in the same way somebody who's experienced that, somebody who's lived that, will pick up on these things. But I feel like once I came to that conclusion, it was still sort of heartbreaking in some way. Um, I'll never know what that experience is like, but in ways you can like empathize with it, you know, or I can at least, or like want to try to, because you know um, everybody's a person. Everybody like has or like should have the chance to live the life they want to live. And again, like this is kind of another movie as well, talking about like suppressing the emotion, and that's sort of what the main character does. He's like suppressing this idea that he should be something else, and kind of the horror that comes from like trapping yourself in like a body, or trapping yourself like in a state of mind or emotion that that just wants to come out and be free. And you just don't think you can live that. uh yeah, so heartbreaking in that way. um and I'm just kind of glad I was able to get it. I still feel like I'm missing out on a few things here and there, so maybe that one's also in need of a rewatch. But again, just like also being shocked by like the like how good the movie looks, and just the colors of it, just like being so like absorbed in what I was seeing. But yeah, great movie, and I think about that one too. And then also Yule does a song on it, so kind of cool as well. Good Will Hunting, I wanted to shout out. That movie has moments, to me at least, just like concepts of like friendship, and like wanting better for one another. I feel like is a very nice sentiment. And then these idea of like love, and like sort of what's the word, I guess also like holding yourself back in some ways, right? Like you go through so much in your life, and you don't think you're worthy of love. You don't think that you can provide love to somebody. Again, but those are just things that sort of like hold you back, and they do come from you. And like finally being able to confront those things will make you a better person. And that's kind of the journey that Will goes on throughout the movie. And then obviously Robin Williams, so great in this movie as well. Very funny, very very like thoughtful, very kind. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. And for me personally, it's not even that scene that everybody brings up, the like, oh, it's not your fault. Obviously that's a very good scene, but like the moment him and Will have in the courtyard, I think is very good. Where he's like talking about his wife, and like being able to like love her in the way he did, or just like having a chance at love, right? Like means infinitely more than like never having love, because you're so like insecure and you push people away. So opening yourself to those experiences is like kind of the beauty of like of your life. I thought it was very nice. And then obviously like another emotional moment too is like whenever he finally snaps at his girlfriend, or the girl that he's seeing, completely unwarranted, because again, like her as well, like she just wants to love him, and he can't accept that. And so there's a bit of like tragedy mixed in there as well. um, but yeah, again, just like really great movie. Also been a while since I've seen that one, but I like it a lot. And then also the conversation he has with Ben Affleck's character, where they're both at the construction yard, and he's like, "Hey man, I love you and all, but like if we're still doing this in like 20 years, like I'm gonna have to kill you. You've got that golden ticket, and you're not cashing it in because you're scared, right?" So also there's like kind of like commentary about like wasted potential, right? Or just like not being ambitious. But that's also kind of where like Perfect Days comes in too. This idea between like contentment and like satisfaction. Obviously the character in Perfect Days, like I said, is very satisfied with his life, but Will in this is just sort of content. You know what I mean? He's like, well, like I got my friends, and that's kind of all I need really. But he obviously has like more like romantic ideas about his own life, sure, but then also like sharing that life with somebody else, because he finally does find the perfect girl, and like he's trying to pursue her, but again he's just like so scared and insecure about like, excuse me, about being close to somebody, that he ends up like trying to push her away. uh, but then also just like not doing anything with his life despite being so capable. Again, just like scared because he doesn't want things to change. He doesn't want to lose his friends that he's like grown to love so much. He doesn't want to like lose this life, even though it's not really what he wants. He'd rather stay here than experience, like failure, or just like fear of like new situations. Again, just something that's also kind of like resonant, and like not even just like for like hyper intelligent people. Not claiming I'm hyper intelligent, or or anything like that, but but just for like people in general, right? It's such a relatable theme to all kinds of people, I think. But that's about it for some like main ones. I kind of want to talk about just like a few like honorable mentions I have for other movies. Again, not like highly emotional, but just like kind of like feel good, I guess. Well, this one at least, Matrix, the first one. I love that movie a lot, but that's because to me that movie just kind of has like moments in it that are just like kind of like yes, like yes, yes, yes. The subway fight whenever like Neo kind of feels like he's like becoming the one, or he's just like believing in himself, so he's like trying uh, to fight Agent Smith, and I think that's such like a really good moment. Like obviously he loses, but it's a good moment nonetheless. Or like it looks like he's about to lose, but he kind of brings it back, and he's able to get away. But then also the moment at the end, when he stops the bullets, it's just like such a like a fuck yeah, you know what I mean? It's like yes, yes. I don't know how to explain it, right? But yeah, but that's a movie that kind of sticks out to me. And again, obviously like visual stuff like that too, right? It's very cool. 2001 Space Odyssey, again just like being in awe of what I'm seeing, right? So like stark, everything about it. uh, and I guess that's all there is for that. Kill Bill, again like kind of a weird one to throw in, but I whenever I think Kill Bill, I think about the second one specifically, because despite how well known this movie is, I didn't know anything about it going into it. Obviously like a few scenes and stuff, right? But like watching it was like such an experience. Like the last like 30 minutes of the first movie, where she's like fighting the yakuza. That's really cool. But then obviously the moment that gets me most is in the second, the reveal that her daughter is still alive. I don't know why, but that completely blindsided me, because it's like, all right, she's finally gonna kill Bill, and then it's like instant twist, and she plays along with it initially as well, and like I don't know why, but I was just like so heartbroken at that moment. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I don't know. Again, like I'm glad I got to experience that way. That's probably why it sticks out in my head so much, the way it does. Just again, like so surprised I was never spoiled for me. But that's such a great moment, and I'm sorry that I spoiled it for you now. I should have said something. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. uh, a Real Pain with Jesse Eisenberg. Again, like just another movie that kind of hit me in some ways, with both of the characters. I can just relate to both of them so heavily. And they're just like commentary with one another, or the way they like talk and interact. This one's also like worth a rewatch for me. I think I watched it like when it first came out, so I'm kind of like foggy on it. But yeah, but this is also one, just like some of the like monologues that they have. Like obviously that moment with the two of them on the rooftop, it's like so hard hitting, because they're like finally laying out these like truths to one another. Uh, and it hurts sometimes hearing the things, because like things get left unsaid, right? And they're left unsaid for perfect reason. Um, but yeah, sometimes you just got to face it. Yeah, so there's that moment, and then obviously the moment, the monologue at the dinner, whenever like Jesse Eisenberg's character is like kind of laying out like all the problems, like or just like the relationship between him and his cousin. But yeah, great movie. Marriage Story, I want to shout out as well. Um, it's for me, it's the beginning and the end Like, obviously people talk about, the scene where they're both yelling at each other in the apartment, but that part doesn't get to me. The part that gets to me is the very beginning where they're both reading the letters. I think that's such a yeah, perfect introduction to both the characters, and the ways they view one another, like the ways they loved one another, right? And then obviously the way that comes back at the very end, because I feel like whenever I'm watching this and like whenever I kind of hear people talking about it, they don't talk about the son a lot. The only reason why it kind of twigged on for me was because Adam Driver talks about it a lot in interviews, because he feels like that's a part of the movie that kind of goes like missed. But the son is like going through all this, like he's going through the divorce alongside his parents, right? Like picking sides and whatnot. But then he's also like growing and developing and like learning how to read. So at the very end, when he's like finally reading the letter that Scarlett Johansson's character wrote to Adam Driver's character, and then that's also the first time that Adam Driver's character ever heard it aloud. And it kind of hits him, and again, like the subtle performance with like Scarlett Johansson in the background, like just like softly crying, uh, as Adam Driver starts to cry as well, because he's finally like hearing how he was like so loved, and like how all that's kind of gone now in some ways. And then also as well, like I like the moment with the whenever he's like doing the karaoke, with his theater group. uh, Obviously he's like a director first, but this is one of the first times where he's like able to perform, and he finds like the beauty in performance and how it like allows him to like express himself. uh, but yeah, just great yeah, great moments in that movie, that I think about pretty often. And then another one that's like also just like kind of like being in awe, Good, Bad, the Ugly. I like that one a lot. Again, it's just like everything leading up to it, but like that final showdown, man, and the music in the background, and they're just looking at each other like they're just waiting. You got a proper standoff. I feel like when people think like Western standoff, they think of something like this, right? It's so like intense, and I'm glad I got to experience that. Uh, but yeah, so just great moment. I think I have one or two more. Oh yeah, I still got some more. This is another one, just like being in awe. Suspiria, the remake. Luca Guadagnino again. Uh, Again, man, just such a crazy movie. And I had never seen the original Suspiria. Like I watched this one first, and then I heard there was an original. So like, oh well, let me go watch the original. The original is kind of wacky, but also very beautiful in some ways. But this one, again, just like being in awe of what I'm seeing, like the idea of like these witches like conducting the spells with the dancing, I thought was really cool. And then that moment at the end, the Tom York score, Unmade, or the track Unmade from the soundtrack, man. And then like this like slow moving, like very beautiful performance, with everybody dancing in the background, but also how visceral it is with the blood. So like so crazy. And then obviously another moment of like sentimentality is like with it's funny because Tilda Swinton plays like multiple characters in the movie, but one of the characters she plays is the therapist guy, and that's another thing too, right? Like the only like prominent male character is played by a woman. Sort of interesting. But obviously with him, he feels like he's finally getting a chance back to like be with his wife again, because his wife like went missing, or not went missing, but like something happened to the wife and she's gone. So he finally thinks he like has this moment to like reunite with her, and it's sort of nice. And then obviously it turns to horror pretty quickly. But yeah, good moment, or not good moment, but just a good movie, I meant to say. uh, Planet of the Apes. There's moments in these movies, man. I don't know, and you can talk shit if you want. It's just like, oh, it's just like a bunch of apes. There's a lot of humanity in those apes. Uh, Obviously, like the standout moment in the first one is like whenever Caesar finally speaks for the first time. Like obviously the guy is like trying to like poke at him, and Caesar grabs him and he just like shouts out no, so visceral, and perfect. And then in the second movie, like obviously like the final confrontation with Koba killing the what is it, Ash's son, right? Or Rocket, what's his name? Um, Basically, Caesar's like second hand has a son, and Koba kills the son, and that's a moment that like kind of just comes from not from nowhere, obviously, but again, just like so like evil, right? Yeah, so that's a moment that sticks to me. Um, and then in the third one, man, it's also just like being in awe of what I'm seeing. It's such a beautiful looking movie, like with the snow as well, right? Um, but obviously, like a standout moment for me is, man, I feel like there's a couple. That one's also worth a rewatch too, or just the whole trilogy, honestly. But that one specifically, because I've only seen that one twice. I've seen the other ones like a handful of times. Uh, but the moment that gets me in the third one is like whenever they're like finally there at like the camp, and like they're having them like build the defenses. Having all the apes build the defenses, and one of the apes is like being beat because he like dropped something or whatever, and it's just like, again, just like another like visceral like line read, um, from Andy Serkis, isn't it? Caesar. Um, he just says like leave him, but the way he says it, there's so much like power behind it. But yeah, just great movies. Children of Men, pretty good. It's funny because I'm gonna mention like all of the other like Children of Men derivatives here in the future, but you'll pick them out whenever they come out. But yeah, Children of Men. Again, this is a movie that I've heard talked about so much, and just didn't know anything about it. So when I finally watched it, I just enjoyed it for what it was, and man, like the amount of like tragedy and heartbreak, uh, like throughout the movie. And then again, like that calm before the storm that I talked about before, right? Like those moments just hit me a lot of the time, because they're in the car, and they're finally having this like moment of fun, like after running for so long, and then they just get attacked, and it's can't snap. There we go, and it's just instant, And then the main character, like his breakdown after like losing his lover, or I don't know, like were they? I don't know, like sort of, right? Uh, so there's that, and then obviously, like as the movie goes on, just like sacrifice, the idea of sacrifice, is very beautiful. And then just that ending shot, it's great. Yes, Cornetto trilogy. So Shaun of the Dead, which I talked about, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. Hot Fuzz, again, just like really funny with like small moments like here and there. Just like this friendship between the two of them is so nice. I like that. I like that a lot. And that's also like very apparent in Shaun of the Dead. But in Shaun of the Dead, I feel like there's more moments of like sentimentality. Again, some of the stuff that's just relatable to me personally, like all the stepfather stuff, like that resonates with me more now. And then like the idea of like losing your parents, because Sean loses both of them. He loses his stepdad, and then he loses his mom at the end. Man, Simon Pegg, he can act. That's for damn sure. And then it's weird because World's End took a moment to grow on me, but I like that one a lot. I'm still not a fan of that last like 15 so minutes, like whenever they finally get to the World's End. I love the confrontation that him and Nick Frost have, but I really wish they would have just ended it there. I don't like everything that comes after that. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's like controversial to say, but I feel like having this like world-ending event while also having this really intense like personal drama like within a character is so much more interesting than just also trying to do the world-ending event at the same time. I don't know. That's just me personally, but everything in that movie is so good, man. Like this character study of a guy who just like can't let go of the past, uh, but yeah, just great. And then Rambo: First Blood, again, like another movie that was like old, and you hear so much about these old movies, like classic movies, but nobody talks about the moments that actually fucking matter. Like I had no clue it was like this dissection of like like post Vietnam War era America, and how the way people like would treat troops coming back from that. And again, I mean, my relation with the army is like kind of what's the word, conflicted, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of like at ends with myself with like how I view people from the army. But I'm not gonna get into that. But to see Sylvester Stallone's character and his headspace, and he just wants a chance to live, and like he comes back, and like nobody gives a fuck about him. Like the people obviously are like very against him, but just like the world itself just seems to be against him, despite how much he's given, how much he's lost. And then his performance there is really good as well. But yeah, but that's it for these live action movies. Again, I'm gonna have to break it up. Like this one's already like an hour long. I'm surprised, but I mean, to be fair, I did talk about a lot of movies. I'd like the idea of doing time codes, but I don't know. You can just watch it if you want. So I mean, if you got an hour to kill, put this on in the background or something. Hopefully everything sounds fine. Um, but yeah, just been thinking a lot about movies that I really enjoy. So I just kind of wanted to share that with myself, and have this something to come back onto. And it sucks, man. It sucks because I feel like I'm gonna get done recording this, and then I'm gonna think about 20 other movies that really make me feel. Uh, but oh well. But yeah, so this was just talking about like live action movies, I guess. There's a few more segments I kind of have regarding this whole thing. So I'll kind of just like lay it out just so we're all on the same page. But it's gonna be so the next one will be talking about like superhero movies, and again, like say what you want, but there's some good messages to be found there. So superhero movies, animated movies, which I have a lot of, and games. I I want to do music too, but I feel like the music I can just kind of talk off the top of my head. So depending on how short the game section is, I might just combine the games and music. But we'll see how it goes. If not, I'll make a separate section for music. Um, but yeah, so that was it for this one. I'm looking forward to talking about the rest of them. I might space them out a little bit, uh, but we'll see. Because I mean, like I really didn't expect this to go on for an hour. I mean, I don't know. Like I knew it was gonna run long, but not an hour. So having to upload it and stuff like that might be weird. But I mean, hopefully you enjoy it, and I really like sharing and talking about stuff. So I can't wait to do more of that, especially with these other sections. I feel like there's a lot of stuff I can really get into, and like stuff I've always wanted to just like talk about openly. And like I have my friends, I have my family, and I talk to them about this stuff. But sometimes it's like, all right, you can shut up now about Spider-Man. You can shut up now about just all these things. But again, that's like the mind thing, right? The overthinking thing. So just having this space to like talk about it for as long as I want to. And again, man, like I'm gonna kick myself because I feel like I'm forgetting things, and I'm forgetting about specific moments in these movies that I really love, that I just really want to talk about. Uh, but there's always more opportunities in the future, and obviously with me, there's like more opportunities to just like really write and dissect more and more. So I look forward to all of that, and thank you if you watch the whole thing, I guess, or thank you to me whenever I go back and listen to this and kind of pick apart these moments, either like cynically or just like also knowing that I can emote now better, and seeing myself emote, I think will bring me a lot of comfort. So I'm looking forward to that. But regardless, take care.